checkup. Hey everyone, I'm back here for my 8 weeks checkup, status post VSG. Anyways, today is Monday. Tomorrow will be my start of my 8 weeks, I believe. Could be off. No, yeah. Tomorrow's the start of my 8 weeks. And I'm feeling great. I'm finally having increasing energy levels. The first 4 weeks they say are tough. No, for me it was more like 6. Where you just feel drained. You know, it's just like as if you were fasting, and how drained you feel when you're fasting. It's the same exact feeling. I am down shy of 25 pounds. Yay! Which is more than I've lost in a very, very long time. So I'm very excited about that. Still haven't bought any new clothes or anything like that. I have a long way to go. So, and my clothes still, a lot of them are loose. Like I'm having issues with my jeans where I have to wear belts. So they're not quite the skinny girl look, skinny jean look, I should say, that they used to have, but I'm just making it do for now. So I won't be buying any new clothes, and maybe around 50-pound loss, I'll get a couple of things, but I wanted to get you an update on as far as exercise. I know I had mentioned in my last video that my goal was to start CrossFit. I got a lot of feedback about that. You know, was consulted by my coach and a lot of other people that just say, hold off, because I'm so far from my goal weight loss. And I've had a long history. I had an eating disorder long ago that thank God I've been delivered from, but I have a lot of damage to my metabolism. And because of it, my body goes on fight or flight the moment that my calories drop down. And I noticed, like, for example, there's a notorious 3-week stall, and then there's one at 6 weeks. Well, a lot of my sleeve sisters in my group have experienced slow loss or stalls. Some of them are just now breaking out of it. I haven't been as afraid of that because I knew that my body would do that and shut down when I got less calories. So you have the initial loss, especially when it has to, when you're going through the clear section, but then when you start to introduce more foods and you start to have more variety and a little bit more calorie intake, of course, I got to a place where the weight loss slowed. So you drop a ton of weight, as I said in my last video, and then it's just been trickling off. What I notice is with weight loss, I will have you lose it in chunks, at least I do. So it's not like a pound every day or such and such every day. It's drop 3 pounds, go up 1, stay stagnant for 5 days when the body's kind of finally like, okay, well, we made an adjustment, there's no additional calories. Drop 3 pounds, it's the same thing. Go up 1, stay stagnant, drop. So it's been literally like this, okay? But a continual downward trend in my weight loss. So there are some people, and I just want to mention this for people that have a BMI similar to mine, who were on the lower end of the spectrum for people who get gastric surgery, and people are slow losers. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody's been damaged in a different way. Some people that haven't been through any restriction are having great volumes of weight loss, you know, or if their BMI was really high. So this is, if your BMI, you know, if you're 400, 500 plus pounds and they're used to eating at a certain level with no restriction, or not that they all, this doesn't go for everyone, because some people who are of a higher BMI are the same way, where they've been having restriction and they continue to gain weight. But if you're at a certain, if you've had some damage to your metabolism, your body is really smart and learns to take care of it and will hold on to every calorie and everything that it's have. So, you know, I was talking to a real good friend of mine, and we've always struggled that we've been overweight, but in comparison to other people with the same height, the same weight, they eat volumes of food more. And why do we have the type of weight gain that we have over other people that eat more and don't gain as much, etc. So some of that has to do with damage to your metabolism, genes, you know, what you've been given or whatever. But I'm mentioning all of this to say this, is that do not compare your weight loss to other people. For example, as I said, people with a higher BMI than I am, need a certain amount of calorie in their resting basal metabolism to feed that BMI, to feed their weight, their frame, everything, you know, their fat cells, everything. So they need a certain amount of calories just to feed and maintain that weight where it is now. So if they have a reduction of food in the same amount I have, where we're both eating 400 calories, well, my body only has to metabolize for maybe 200 pounds, and that person may be metabolizing for 400 pounds and they may be taller than I, or whatever. So their calorie deficit is much greater, is what I'm saying, than what I have. So of course, they're gonna have a larger loss. So please, 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 whatever you do, do not compare yourself to the person next to you. You don't know if they have had previous restriction, like I have for many years, yo-yo dieting and done damage, or if they've had no restriction at all, and so their body is just eating up those fat cells, you know, like it's doing its job, it's doing a great job, and they don't have the fight or flight program into their metabolism yet. Okay, so please don't compare yourself to other people. A matter of fact, I'm gonna shoot this chart. This was posted on our group for the people that did bariatric surgery in Mexico, and it shows that I'm right on target. I just want to keep you encouraged, you know, even if it's slow and steady, you're still losing. Now, let me caution you, something that I'm learning now. I stopped keeping track and stopped hitting my daily protein goals. So what has happened is I've continued to lose weight, but on my scale, I have a fat tracker where it shows me percentage of, you know, my percentage of fat. And so I have not been hitting my calories or my protein consumption. And so what does the body do? It would rather consume the protein because it gets, you know, it craves that protein. So it's eating my muscles. So of course I've gone down on the scale weight, but my fat percentage has creeped up in the last 2 weeks. And so that goes to show you I'm not giving my body what it needs. So please don't do that. You want to give your body sufficient amount of protein so that it will consume the fat. It will consume the fat as energy source instead of consuming your muscles, okay? Not getting all you can get out of the first 4 months, which is where they say we have the greatest gain. So I just want to encourage everybody, I'm committing to it this week. Get your protein in first. And the other thing I've noticed about carbohydrates and protein, because your restriction is so small and the stomach is so small, the danger for me, as I said previously, is grazing. And that's always been an issue for me because when I graze, it's more of an emotional eating instead of me eating to live, okay? And so carbohydrates for me are much easier to get down. We call them slider foods, chips, you know, not so much chips for me now, but like snack foods like crackers or whatever. And I want to eat it because it's easier on my digestive tract. It's easy. You just grab a handful of something. But that's the reason why I got into this space, number one. Number two, it's more emotional eating than me providing my body what it needs. And plus, you know, you want to eat it because you don't feel that fullness that you eat when you have protein. And when I tell you full, I mean, sometimes I'll sit down and eat one egg and I feel like I've had a full turkey dinner. And it just feels awful. Like I want to lie down and go to sleep, okay? So, you know, the slider foods are much easier to consume, but they do nothing for us as far as weight loss. They do nothing for us as far as nutritional value. You're going to continue to consume that protein because even though you're not getting enough of it to make you gain weight and you'll still lose weight, it's just not going to help you hit your goal. So get your protein in first, eat those vegetables second on your plate, and then the carbohydrates last, you know. So I can testify that I have seen it myself, seen it on the scale, seeing what happens in the last couple weeks as I continue to lose weight, but that the fat percentage goes up. It's just because my body's consuming the muscle mass. And I had a real big problem with Gerd. You know, as far as me, I always like to do natural things. I was not happy about having to take a PPI and H2 blocker, which are control acid after surgery. So I wasn't taking it consistently and I was suffering awful. And so I had to make my mind up last week because I used to have to take stuff for GERD years ago and I got off of it weaned off of them. They actually made my GERD worse. I became more dependent on them. So I weaned off of them by taking apple cider vinegar, digestive enzymes, and probiotics, okay? So I tried doing doing that right now. But the problem is that when you have surgery, it's more or less about the pressure, because that stomach is so small, and so it's a more of an anatomical thing than it is more than in addition to, I should say, more of an anatomical thing than just having acid reflux or producing too much acid. Yes, they cut off a portion of your stomach, but they don't take away your body's ability to produce acid. They say that evens out over some months. After a time, you'll produce less of it. So for now, I just had to make a decision that although this is not the natural route that I want to go, I don't want to have inflammation. I was starting to have problems even where food wasn't going down, and I don't want to get a stricture. Also, it affects the incision line when you have, copious amounts of acid, so you want to heal well. So just follow your doctor's orders, and I just tell myself, I'm doing this for 4 to 6 months, and then we will revisit it and see if I can start to wean off at least 1 dose, 2 dose, etc., till I'm not dependent on them. But I feel so much better the last few days. I also, if you're having problems, a lot of times they'll tell you to take Xanax or omeprazole. If you're having so it's not controlling it, try asking your doctor for a script for Protonix. Back in the day when I used to take stuff for Gerd, I did take Protonix, and it does a much better job for me at controlling the acid. So you may want to ask for that. Plus, if you're really inflamed, they have what's called a pink lady that sometimes they'll give you, which is like a GI cocktail with viscous lidocaine, Benadryl, and something like Alox in it, okay? So just ask your physician, go see them if you're having continued problems. But one of the other things that I'm doing to support myself in a natural way to prepare when I start to wean off is when I still consume apple cider vinegar, like before I get ready to eat something, so I have I'm able to break down the food and then tell my body that there's acid there, so it'll stop producing extra. I am taking digestive enzymes. I have one that I use that from doTERRA. As you know, I'm an advocate. It's called Terrazyme, and it's got things like papaya. It's all, stuff that's naturally occurring that breaks down our food. And I've been taking that like once before a meal, and I'm also getting a probiotic in every single day. So I want to support my digestive tract as much as I can until I'm able to wean off the prescription medications or the acid medications. But for right now, I'm so glad I made a decision. I just had to let it go. I'm usually plant-based as far as medicine, as much as I can, 90% of the time. And so this is one of the areas that I'm just going to have to let it rest, because they say that the pressure gets so strong that you'll reflux that acid out in the stomach until that the body learns that it needs to level things out, and the acid decreases. So if you've had issues with Gerd and you've been able to and things have gotten better over the, if you're further out than I would love to hear from you in the comments. I'd love to be encouraged, because I've heard that, some people have issues for long term. Some people, it got rid of their issues totally when they had surgery. And some people who say for 4 to 6 months it was tough and it got better. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. So I'm going to drop some pictures of my change so far, and my change for my my picture yesterday, which marked my 8-week check-in with you all. Thank you for following me. If you have any questions about my journey, going to Mexico, whatever, just drop them in the comments and I'll be glad to answer them. I'm so glad you've been joining me on my journey. You guys have a blessed day. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's been one of those mornings.